Welcome to the bonfire, Unkindled One.
Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello, and welcome back to Everything Possible in Dark Souls 3 here in the Ringed City. We are now at the Earthen Peak bonfire. Last time we took care of the Dreg Heap, and today we have a lot of items to collect and a boss to take down, so let's start with the equipment. I am using the Split Leaf Greatsword infused with Heavy, upgraded to +9. The Court Sorcerer's Staff only to cast Hidden Body, you'll see that in just a moment, and the Sunless Talisman +4 to cast Sunlight Blade. I'm wearing the Silver Mask, Slave Knight Armor, Lorien's Gauntlets, and Morn's Leggings for my Fashion Souls. I have the Curse Bite Ring, Prisoner's Chain, Ring of Favor, which we'll be upgrading here, and the Poison Bite Ring. And then of course my consumables, my Flask, some Alluring Skulls, Moss Fruit, Purple Moss Clumps, the Undead Hunter Charm, and Red Bug Pellets. Some of those you will see me use, and others you will not. But here are my stats. If you want to take a look at them closer, just go ahead and pause the video now. But before we get too far, let's talk to our good friend Amnesiac Lap.
Oh, I know who you are. Great to see you still in one piece. I can see why they call this the Dreg Heap at the world's end. Mangled remnants from every age and every land. It actually sort of lends credence to the old rumors that the Ringed City rests below it all. Don't mind me. You needn't worry yourself with this nonsense. I just wanted to tell someone, and I'm sick of old Humpty. I should stay quiet. Wait, I'll make it up to you. By letting you in on a secret of sorts. Past here, you'll find the remains of a giant earthen tower, half submerged in a poisonous swamp. Not a very nice place to visit. Only, there's precious treasure in the thick of the swamp. I didn't have any use for it, you see. So, sorry, I left the whole package behind. If I get the chance, I could go fetch it for you. But if that's too long to wait, go nab it for yourself. I know who you are. A righteous warrior. Yes? With a solemn duty to boot. Well, grab that treasure. That's as good a duty as any.
You may be inclined to not believe Lap if you know his true identity, but he's actually telling the truth. He will actually go and get the treasure for you. In fact, I'm going to show that in this video. So up here on the Fallen Towers, taking out all these poison horn beetles using the weapon art of the Split Leaf Greatsword. I absolutely do love that weapon art, and you don't even need to use a follow-up. If you just hold the weapon art, you just spin around like a helicopter. Taking out the last couple here. And nothing too important, but they were guarding 4 black fire bombs. Now there is another angel in this area, and just like in the Dreg Heap, in order to take the angel out, we need to find their corresponding parasite or their corresponding pilgrim. And in order to do that safely and quickly, we're going to have to take a bit of a leap of faith. There's the angel spawning into existence right now. He will drift pretty close to us, so I'm just going to bide my time, wait here. I want him to turn around so I can make it to that next shack you can see just right in the bottom right hand corner. There's my opportunity, so let's run. We'll get under the covering, and then we're just going to pause here, because the angel isn't just after attacking us. You can see those poor thralls are now at the mercy of the angel. But you see that shack in the far distance? That's our goal. And in order to get there safely, we're going to use 2 casts of Hidden Body. So even though there is loot here, we are just going to sprint. The only piece of loot we're going to collect right now is the shiny directly in front of the shack. But just to be safe, I am going to do another cast. We'll grab this shiny on the way, which is a pair of Titanite chunks, and then we are taking a leap of faith directly to the left of the shack. And if you're worried about rolling, just go ahead and do a plunge attack. You will take some significant fall damage, but this will bring us immediately to the pilgrim that spawned the angel. But first, over here on the corpse, don't forget to nab your ember. And there is the pilgrim parasite. Now, if you've never seen it before, they can actually do some damage. It's not too bad, but just be aware that they aren't just some stationary pilgrim. They can do some damage to you. Pilgrim fading off in the distance, and we get a pair of Twinkling Titanite. Not only is this the fastest way to get to that Pilgrim Parasite and kill the Angel, by the way, great view of the Dark Sign Sun, but this is also a shortcut that will take you directly to the boss encounter. And even if you don't want to fight the boss right now, it's not a bad opportunity to drop down and light the bonfire. Directly inside that broken arch tree, that is where the first boss of the DLC will take place. Climbing up this tree route, the fallen tower directly to the right would lead us to the boss with the bonfire. I'll be showing that off here in just a moment. Of course, there's another message from Gale with his signature red ribbon, letting us know that we can take the plunge, we will not die. And he hasn't steered us wrong yet. There's a shiny over there on the rooftops. We're going to be getting that towards the end as we loop around a bit. But you can see this poison swamp. Now, I've shared my feelings on Dark Souls 2 in the past, but it is rather disheartening that this right here, Earthen Peak in the Poison Swamp, is one of the very few direct references that we have to Dark Souls 2, whereas Dark Souls 1 has numerous references built into Dark Souls 3. Down here on this lower path, we do have the one Flamberge wielding thrall. Of course, I like to ricochet off the wall just to give him an opportunity. Fight fair, that's what I always say. But then exterminate him with extreme prejudice. And over here on the ledge, be careful not to run off, is a very interesting and unique item. The giant door shield. This shield is somewhat reminiscent of the Orma and Reeves Great Shields from Dark Souls 2, so I guess this is somewhat another callback, but these are clearly made of wood. The interesting thing is the weapon art. When you hold down the weapon art, you will essentially close the doors, which does give you some added stability and more blocking power. But then, while you're holding that, if you hit the light attack button, R1, you will do this long range and very quick shield bash, and any enemy or player caught in the wake will be stunned. But if you hold in the heavy attack or R2 while you're holding the weapon art skill, you will plant the shields down firmly into the ground and you will resist 100% of damage, including fire, which it is normally somewhat weak to. The only problem is your stamina will not regenerate, so at some point you will have to let go, otherwise your guard's going to be broken. Here behind the shack we have two more thralls just waiting for us. And you need to take these thralls out because this has one of the most important bits of loot hiding behind it. Of course I only had to take out the one thrall because the one decided to base jump, I guess? But here we have the Desert Pyromancer garb, yet another throwback to Dark Souls 2. There really isn't much to say about the Desert Pyromancer garb other than if you wear them with the sunless leggings, it actually becomes a bit of a corset, which is unique, I guess. But do with it as you will. Over here behind these big rocks there is a Titanite chunk, and we have essentially cleared the ash field now. We're going to make our way back towards Lap, but we're going to do so by taking a tree root because that contains one more shiny before we head into the Poison Swamp. And there's our Twinkling Titanite. Dropping down safely because of the ash. And now it is time to get into the swamp, which is why I have the Poison Bite ring equipped and I have purple moss clumps at the ready. I also have the Curse Bite ring on. It really is only for this particular situation, and I probably should have swapped that out before the boss fight because it did me absolutely no good, but, you know, hindsight, 2020. Coming up here on the tower just to show you everything that there is to collect. You can see a lot of shinies in the distance. There's a Herald Knight. More poison horn beetles. We have this shiny down below, but if we drop down there, we will miss out on the one shiny, an Ember, which is in the ruins just to the left, along with the one thrall that somehow escaped the Angel's laser attacks. Dealing with him, turn around. There's our Ember, and now we're going to loop back around and drop down onto that one fallen tower to get that other shiny. It is at that point that the next angel is going to spawn. Now this angel will not only fire its laser attacks, which you'll see here in just a second, there's our Titanite scale, but it will also use this cloud effect, these particles, these feathers to drop down on you, which does cause a very, very quick curse buildup, which is why I have the Curse Bite ring equipped. Don't forget this thrall, let's deal with him. And then as I heal up, There is the curse attack. Look how quickly that builds up. So I'm going to use Hidden Body because we are going to beeline to the Pilgrim Parasite for this angel as well. So we're going to run past all enemies. We're going to run right through the swamp, watching my poison meter, just in case I do need to pop a purple moss clump. You can see Hidden Body's already run out. Using the Lingering Dragon Crest Ring would not be a terrible idea if you're using this strategy, simply because it will allow you to stay hidden for longer. Heading up this tree route, this can be a little bit of a maze, but if you just follow this advice, you should be able to locate the parasite pretty easily. Drop down onto this lower tree route. There's a Herald Knight directly below us. We'll deal with him momentarily. And we want to go onto the rooftops. Backstab the Thrall for an extreme overkill. And the Pilgrim Parasite is just ahead of us. So I will use Hidden Body because the angel will be able to see us in just a moment. We're going to carefully get onto this smaller tree route. Navigate our way up and then drop onto the roof. And there he is. Let's dispatch him nice and quickly. And watch as the angel fades away. Now we are free to loot the swamp, and the only things that we have to deal with are, well, the enemies, the poison, and possibly Lap, although he is rather on our side, surprisingly enough. There's our pair of Twinkling Titanites. So now it's time to do a little backtracking. So we're going to take this upper tree route, so we can drop back down onto the roof. In other words, that was completely pointless and nonsensical. Drop onto this large one. And over here, if we follow this to the end, you can see that one shiny. We'll be getting that in a little bit, not just now. So we're going to drop down onto the ash. Once again, take no fall damage as long as we land in there. And we have another group of the poison horn beetle, so it's time to swirl around like a helicopter. You can see the Herald Knight is coming this way. So dealing with the horn beetles, we get the loincloth, the next part of the Desert Pyromancer garb. And now we have to fight the Herald Knight a little bit more fairly than the one that you can plunge on. Remember, when he does that attack, count 6 slashes at the ground, and then you can either just walk around or do what I did and roll behind him for a free hit. Now these enemies can be staggered, as you've already seen once before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the jump. And you really can just walk around, you don't need to roll. There's the delay attack. That one will do a lot of damage if he catches you with it. And there's the double with the blade drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I believe I mentioned this in the last episode, but you can get their armor to drop from them. It does seem to be somewhat of a low drop rate, although Titanite chunks are pretty common. And there's a Titanite chunk from that one. So at this point, we're going to do a wide loop and follow the edges of the swamp. Deal with this one poison horn beetle. Grab yourself another Titanite chunk. There are a lot of upgrade materials in this DLC, specifically a lot of chunks. Back where we first dropped down, in this hut, there are 2 more poison horn beetles. This one, who likes to be a little bit difficult. Well, I should say the wonky hitboxes like to be a little bit difficult. There are 4 purple moss clumps, just in case you did not come prepared. That should be plenty as far as exploration goes. And then over here on the ledge, we're going to get our next piece of the Desert Pyromancer set, the gloves. Now this armor set does not offer a lot in terms of physical resistance, but they do have fairly high elemental resistance. So if they're part of your fashion souls, at least you can claim you have a reason for it. And there is the Desert Pyromancer skirt. We will get the hood towards the end of this episode. And now we want to head up this tree branch. Going to cure my poison here. I said that we were going to be upgrading our Ring of Favor, and we're not just going to make a small incremental upgrade. No, we're going directly from the normal Ring of Favor to the Ring of Favor plus 3. This will give us 6% extra HP, 11.5% extra stamina, and an extra equip load of 8%. There's no reason not to immediately upgrade to the Ring of Favor +3, and that's what we're going to do. And now you can hear a Herald Knight directly below us, and had I timed this just a little better, or if I had run off, I would have gotten that plunge attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At this point, I'm just showing you that I know how to count. And you can see here, he took out that Thrall with the final move, so the Herald Knights can attack other enemies. In fact, there's an NPC at the end that we're going to be fighting who can be lured into fighting or being fought by a Herald Knight. And that time I didn't count. I'm curious, how many of you counted along thinking I was going to do the same? Fools. There's the big leap here. By the way, this weapon that they are wielding, the Herald Curved Greatsword, we will be getting that in just a couple minutes. And you too can be a bloated Herald Knight, if you so choose. You can just see how much damage that delayed attack does. And there's the finish. Another 4 chunks for us. Absolutely incredible. Certainly worthy of farming. Another group of poison horn beetles, so we know what to do. I don't know about you, but when I do this, I just go row, row, row. Large Soul of a Weary Warrior. Go ahead, try it yourself. It's fun. Now we have this one more poison horn beetle. And now we're just going to dip our toes into the swamp to look down this corridor. You see that shiny guarded by the Herald Knight? That is the treasure that Lap is talking about. And he wasn't kidding. He said that if we can just wait, he'll go get it for us. And he'll even take that enemy out. And sure enough, he will. We'll show that in just a little bit. Or, if you want to go get it now, you can do that and you will get a different item from Lap. Right in the middle of the swamp, we have another Large Soul of a Weary Warrior. And we are just about done here. So I'm not going to cure my poison just yet. I'm going to wait until I'm directly out of the swamp. And at least for the moment, that is going to do it. So let's get back onto this route. Cure our poison. Might as well top off the health too. And this is where we're going to take out that Herald Knight that's just sitting down there. Now this does take a little bit of practice because we can get a really simple plunge attack. So I'll refill my focus points and buff my split leaf greatsword with lightning blade. And then in order to reach him, if we just run off, we won't make it. We have to jump. Almost take him out in a single hit, but it's a nice simple finish after that. I absolutely love that plunging animation on the Herald Knights. No drops this time, but the item directly nearby is the Herald Curved Greatsword. Let's get out of the poison. We'll cure that, and we can take a look at this Greatsword. So this weapon can be infused, it can be buffed, and it is upgraded with normal Titanite, and the weapon skill Sever is the same move that they use when they slash at the ground. When you press the weapon skill, you'll do just a couple of ground pounds, and then if you hold the heavy attack, R2, then you will continue to do that until your FP or your stamina runs out, whichever is first. But if you follow it up with the light attack, the R1, that is when you'll do that majestical leap and crush nearby enemies. The nice thing is the stagger potential for that weapon skill is incredible. Just another item hiding over here in front of this Thrall. Give him a little spook before you hit him. Perfect. And then just finish him off. And on this hunched over corpse we get a homeward bone. And we are nearly done with the swamp. So drop down in, quickly go up the roots. And we need to go get that one item that we've been neglecting. I could have gotten this the first time through, so this is not the most efficient route. Plus, we do have the one more item you can see off in the distance, but we get our Titanite chunk. And at this point, that's when I realized that I forgot that item because I did a plunge attack, a failed plunge attack on the Herald Knight. So instead, I can just run there now. And because I'm nearly done and I have so many of the moss clumps, I'm just going to completely stave off the poison, and I used a moss fruit there just to increase my poison resistance. So heading up this branch one final time. And just carefully drop down. I love the fungus that's growing on the sides of these trees. And one final Titanite chunk. So that is the poison swamp clear. So we're going to make our way to those further branches, climb up, and face one of the most difficult NPCs that I think I've ever faced. There are ways of cheesing her, but I'm going to show you just a straight up battle with Pyromancer Zoe to show that it can be done, especially if you have a weapon with range. But I'm going to discuss some easier strategies along the way. So I'm getting my Alluring Skull, not for her because she is not affected by them, but there's this one thrall here with the infused flame birch. Careful, this will do a lot of damage. But now you're going to see her marching our way with a couple more thralls, this time with fire infused flame birch, which will also do a lot of damage. So my goal is I'm going to hide, let them do their little patrol so I can take the thralls out first. Hidden body just for that extra security. And I apologize, only one of them has the flame birch, the other one is using the thrall axe. Patience is key here. So we're going to use just a couple of Alluring Skulls, get them both together, and take them out in just a couple of hits. And one of them dropped a couple of Titanite chunks. Now she heard that, so she is coming back. You can see she's already onto us. But fortunately, if we get out of sight using Hidden Body, eventually she is going to forget about us. And at this point, she's already back on her patrol. So you can see I've used a couple of things here. I did use the red bug pellet to increase my fire resistance. I topped off my Ashen Estus and my health. And this is Pyromancer Zoe. She has a number of weapons at her arsenal. She's using that up-close melee Pyromancy Flame Fan right there. And what just happened was the very first hit of Flame Fan, it will hit you and knock you off guard as if you've been kicked. And then if the follow-up hits you, it will do bonus damage because of the instability damage. She also has a whip for medium, and if you get too far, she can just cast Chaos Pyromancies. She does have 2 Estus Flasks, which is why I brought the Undead Hunter Charms and completely forgot to use them. But if you have the Vow of Silence spell, you can completely eliminate her use of Pyromancy, which makes this fight much, much easier. You can also trick her down near the Herald Knight, and the Herald Knight can deal with her for you. And there is Flame Fan, the Pyromancy that she was just using. So this takes 15 intelligence and 15 faith to use, and what I said about the instability damage is certainly true. You can use this to knock people off their guard, and then do a follow-up to do instability damage. You can do that with the Flame Fan, or the follow-up could be with another weapon in your main hand. So you can use a Pyromancer Flame in your offhand, use this to knock them off their feet, or at least to make them backpedal, and then use something like a curved sword in your right hand to do a lot of bonus damage because of that instability bonus. Can be a really cool combo. We have 6 Prism Stones there. Speaking of Prism Stones, because we're so high up, if you use something like a Shield Bash or Force, you can throw her off the cliff and she will die there as well. And then the last bit of the Pyromancer garb, right here, somewhat hidden by the vines, the Desert Pyromancer hood. The set is now complete. I wonder how Silverius would look in the Desert Pyromancer set. You can see we still have that one item on the rooftop to get. But before we drop down, on this lower branch, there is a somewhat hidden item. So drop down here, turn around, and here we have a Twinkling Titanite. Moseying on back up. Once again, loving the details of these branches, the bracket fungus, the vines growing on it. really put a lot of detail into something as simple as these branches. Running to the end, we can drop down right into the ash. And then over here on the rooftop, we can drop down. I don't know why I did a little pirouette there. And we have a divine blessing. Another thing I don't know why I did, I run and jump here. You can walk if you so choose, they both work. And now we are back at that broken tower with Gale's message telling us to take the plunge, we will not die, and like I said, he's never led us astray yet. So we're not going into the boss just yet, but I want to show there are 2 summons available. Right here we do have Slave Knight Gale. He is willing to help us against this upcoming boss, which I think is pretty cool, especially if you know how this DLC plays out. But we also have Amnesiac Lap, who is using the same weapon as us, the Split Leaf Greatsword and the Curse Ward Greatshield. Now they do fairly well in this upcoming boss fight, but just remember, for every summon you have, human or NPC, the boss's HP is increased as well, and this fight can be a test of patience. We have another message from Gale and his silhouette pointing down, but we'll be investigating that here in just a moment. Like I said, Amnesiac Lap offered to get us a treasure, and I want to see if he's a man of his word. So we're going back to Earthen Peak, and what we need to do to trigger this is to load the area 3 times. This counts as 1. Making sure I rested the bonfire, I'll just use my coiled sword fragment. Go right back to the same bonfire. And that's 2. And you'll know that it worked when he moves from that ledge down to the ground. And now he's standing there, so let's go talk to Mr. Lap.
Oh, there you are. Perfect timing. You remember that treasure? In the thick of the poison swamp. Well, I fetched it for you. As promised. Oh, it was only a hop and a skip. I needed a rest from old Nan over there. Here, go ahead. It's yours. Maybe it'll help you with that solemn duty of yours.
And it is not just any treasure, it is a Titanite slab. Now it is the same treasure if you go get it yourself, but you might as well let him get it, one less Herald Knight to fight. And if you do go get it yourself and you return to him, instead of giving you the slab, which you already have, instead he'll give you a Sigbroi. But that is all the loot. It is now time for us to take on the first boss of the DLC, the Demon Prince. As I've already mentioned, you do have 2 summoning choices as far as NPCs go. You do have Slave Knight Gale and you have Amnesiac Lap, but again, I caution you against using these or even player summons simply because of the amount of HP that this boss will get. So we are going to be doing this solo as we've done all of the other bosses. We're going to take the plunge because Gale has sworn that we will not die. So far, he's been right about that, and sure enough, we're okay. And as we land, we see 1 demon awaken, and then the second. So we have the demon in pain and the demon from below. Now, I know this is going to come as a shock, but this fight actually has more than 1 phase. After we defeat these 2 demons, that's when we're going to fight the true boss, the Demon Prince. But the moveset of the Demon Prince is going to depend on which of these demons we kill first and which we kill second. Somewhat similar to the Ornstein and Smough fight from Dark Souls 1. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. These demons, including the Demon Prince afterwards, they are weak to bleed, so if you have a bleed weapon or if you have some Karthus Rouge saved up, that is a great opportunity to just bleed these enemies out. Not to mention, they are weak to Black Knight weapons. Being demons, they do take 20% more damage from those weapons. Now you saw there just a moment ago, they are fairly easily staggered, and once they go down into that staggered animation, you can get the riposte for a lot of damage. The same will be true of the Demon Prince. Now you can see here, right now I'm focusing on the demon from below and ignoring the demon from pain. These enemies will take turns. You can see when they're fired up, that's when they are melee oriented, they're going to stick close, they're going to get in your face, whereas the other one will stay back and they will cast some toxic breath, they'll cast spit at you. So the goal is, pick which one you want to focus on, and I recommend killing them as quickly as you can. Some people recommend killing them roughly at the same time. While that can work, I find it easier just to take one out so you're only focusing on one enemy, and that's why I've been sticking so closely to the demon from below. Buffing my weapon yet again. Unfortunately, these demons are pretty resistant to lightning, so it doesn't add a lot of extra damage, but it does add some. Once you've killed one demon, the other one will power up, and he will remain powered up until you've destroyed him. Fortunately for me, I find this to be pretty predictable. These flames are a great opportunity to roll right between their legs and get a couple of hits. There's the stagger. Massive damage with that riposte. Unfortunately, taking a little bit more damage than I'd like, especially because I'd like to ideally take no damage. But stick close, hug those legs as much as you can. It'll make this fight a lot easier. Now, we killed the demon in pain second. Now back up, because there is a large AoE explosion coming. Also, always try to cast your miracle without any FP. And that way you do this really cool gesture. It's like, oh, hey, look, I'm out of magic. I'm in trouble. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. Now that large chaos fireball can be really difficult to dodge, but my recommendation is when you see him flying up in the air holding that fireball, run towards the spot he flew from, because chances are he'll throw it over your head. You'll see that dodge here momentarily. Doing significantly less damage this time around. Now with this move, you can't really see it, but he just summoned 2 floating chaoses like the one we got from the Painted World of Ariandel. And really that's just a distraction, because what he's truly doing is summoning a much larger fireball that's going to cast down Meteor Strike. If you run at him like I did, even if it means you take some damage from the floating chaos, it will allow you to stagger him out of that animation, and the meteors will fall straight down. If you allow him to cast that and you don't stagger him, those meteors will come down at an angle and cover most of the arena. That swooping dive there, the best option is to roll to the side, because even if you miss the claws, good dodge there, then the resulting fire can also damage you. Getting a rebuff of my lightning blade. When he does those fireballs, make sure you leave, because they do explode as you just saw, and that pyromancy is something we will be able to get using the soul of the Demon Prince. That is a devastating move, and unfortunately I was too slow in getting the dodge off. What you want to do, similar to the one with the Chaos Fireball, you want to run towards him and then dodge towards him at the last second. You can see he does share a lot of the same melee movesets as the first set, but also a lot of his combos and a lot of his moves do leave a trail of fire. Now what you just saw there, that was free damage, because after I staggered him, instead of immediately going for the riposte, I got one hit and then I got in front of him for the riposte. Typically you should have enough time. So once again, here's the floating chaos. I'm going to try and run Serpentine to dodge some of the attacks, but even if I take some damage, my goal here is to stagger him at all costs. There's a stagger, so the meteors will still come, but instead of coming directly at me, they're just going to fall down where he was. Now I am out of Estus. There are the exploding fireballs. Jump with an explosion. That one you want to roll away from. Those slams are a great opportunity for attacks, just like in the first phase. Perfect. Run towards him to dodge. He's beginning to get a little bit frantic. And for the love of all things holy, please don't try to get fancy like I did, because it is quite possible that move would have been the end of me. Now that is the meteor version. I am going to show you the other one, but we did get the soul of the Demon Prince, which will give us 20,000 souls if consumed. We can also trade it to Ludleth for the Seething Chaos Pyromancy, which we've seen, or the Demon Scar. I'll talk more about the Demon Scar in just a moment. So here is the alternative. I've already killed the demon in pain, now I'm focusing on the demon from below. And I find that this demon prince is significantly easier than the media version, but it could be just me. This time using a red bug pellet, try to save me some of that fire damage. So it is still the Demon Prince, but his special move is a laser attack that is not only easy to avoid, it offers some great opportunities for free damage. Also, he loves to dance. They share many of the same moves though, so when I was talking about the dodge mechanics for the first version, those same mechanics will apply here. You can also get hit just like you did with the other version. When he flies backwards, that is your chance to start running, and if you're quick enough and you time it enough, you can avoid it. But here's the laser. You can dodge through it. Now if you take this laser and the subsequent fire directly on the chin, it is going to do a lot of damage. He does two lasers, one side to side, and then the other one will go straight ahead, but there is that small AoE blast that you just saw, so even if you're just staying close, you'll take some damage, but I recommend take that damage because you'll still be able to get some significant free damage off. There's the stagger and riposte, but you can see I can just stay a lot closer to this version of the Demon Prince than I could with the other one. You get the exact same soul item, you get the exact same rewards for using that soul item, it's just a matter of which one you prefer to fight. Here's the giant Chaos Fireball, running towards him, no big deal. When he hops to the side, he usually does that really sweeping slash that leaves fire on the ground, and already getting the stagger again. If you can focus on their head with a big weapon such as the Split Leaf Greatsword, it makes the stagger opportunities a lot more frequent. There's the Seething Chaos Pyromancy with the explosions. That is something you can get with their soul. Those shockwaves is an indication he's going to use his laser attack. You can dodge through those shockwaves instead of getting staggered if you time it right. Here comes the second laser attack with the AoE. Dodging into the fire, always a classy move. Here's the frantic melee attack, good for a free hit or two. And yet again, another stagger, another riposte, and the Demon Prince is dead. So again, we get that soul of the Demon Prince. Now the Demon Scar, that is probably by far the best choice if you're going to be trading this soul in. It is a curved sword that also acts as a pyromancy flame. So the heavy attacks can cast a pyromancy, whereas the curved sword is a pure fire damage dealing curved sword. There's no physical damage whatsoever, so any fire damage boosting equipment or rings that you have will boost the damage of that sword. Soul of the Demon Prince. The demons birthed from a common chaos share almost everything between them, even the pride of their prince and his near faded flame, so that the last demon standing may rekindle it. So if you're going to be trading this in, I highly recommend the Demon Scar. The Seething Chaos Pyromancy, it is cool and all, but it takes about 4 seconds almost for that explosion to go off, which gives your enemies ample time to get out of the way. We only have one more item here, and that is the small envoy banner, but take a look at where we're at. Imagine a large primordial serpent sleeping with his head down on those bricks. But look at all these ruined archways in this architecture. This is a remnant of Firelink Shrine from the very first Dark Souls, and this tunnel that we're about to walk down, this would be where the great King Primordial Serpent Frampt once was. But with the Demon Prince dead, the Dreg Heap and Earthen Peak behind us, we can approach this cliff, use a small envoy banner, and meet some old friends. The gargoyles have dropped us off on a rock face overlooking the ringed city itself, where we will be continuing our adventure. Absolutely gorgeous vistas, that majestic tower off in the distance. So much yet to do. But that is going to have to wait until next time. That is going to do it for this episode of Everything Possible in Dark Souls 3, the Ringed City DLC. I hope you learned something, and if you did, leave me a comment and let me know exactly what you learned, and if I missed something, or if you have a better strategy for the Demon Prince, let me know that too, so we can all keep learning. But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.